President Donald Trump weighing in on Virginia's gubernatorial race, but his remarks are sparking some new questions about a potential endorsement.
Let's get over to Tom Fitzgerald, live for us in Arlington. Fitz, this was sort of a mixed bag here today. Break it down for us.
Yeah, well, you know, the president was asked if he plans to back the Republican candidate for governor, Winsome Earl Sears, here in Virginia. And while what he said wasn't exactly, you know, a full-on endorsement, it wasn't a denial either. Now, as you know, Sears right now is running as a Republican in Virginia's 2025 gubernatorial race. Her opponent is former Virginia Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. Now, Sears recently enacted a major shakeup of her campaign staff after trailing Spanberger in fundraising and the polls as well. In fact, the latest Real Clear Politics average of polls has her Spanberger up right now 7.5%, and some of the individual polls are even farther away than that. The president was asked in Pennsylvania last night if he'd endorse Sears for governor.
Yeah, I would. I would. I think probably she's got a tough race. She shouldn't have, but because the candidate she's running against is not very good. But I think she's got a tough race. But I would, yeah.
So, Fitz, the history between Winsome Earl Sears and President Trump has been a bit rocky at times. Would an endorsement actually by the president help or hurt in Virginia, a state that he actually lost twice?
Yeah, and that's the big question about this. You know, will it help or hurt? Back in 2022, when it was, you know, unsure whether or not Donald Trump was going to run for the White House again, Sears actually was one of the Republicans who came out publicly and said that he should not, that he should sit out the 2024 race and allow other Republicans to take the flag for the GOP. Of course, none of that happened. And in Trump world, sometimes when you're out, you can come back in. Look at political operatives like Corey Lewandowski or Steve Bannon that at times had, you know, been on the outs with the president, but then wound up making their way back in again, with the president in Pennsylvania last night saying that he would be open to an endorsement of Winsome Earl Sears. Doesn't close the door on that. But, you know, one thing we do know from the president's endorsements is that he likes to endorse winners. Right now, the polling is not very good for Winsome Earl Sears, so it remains to be seen if the president is going to follow through on this or not.
All right, joining us now, political strategist Luke Ball to break this one down for us. Luke, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we know that Winsome Earl Sears in the past has been critical of President Trump. She has turned that criticism into a lot of support for him. What does this latest potential endorsement mean for her and her campaign?
Well, on this network, she said maybe in 2022 or 2023 that a true leader knows when it's time to exit the stage. I would submit as a Republican that I wish Winsome Sears had exited the stage before this. I don't think she's the great, strong candidate that Republicans are looking for in this Virginia's race. And I say that wanting to win elections in the state of Virginia as a Republican, as a conservative, I want the best possible choice for governor in the future state. So if President Trump is objectively looking at this, he's got to weigh the fact with, yes, it is going to bring out a lot of the MAGA base, a lot of the Republican strongholds to turn out and vote for her. But also, if she loses, he doesn't want that on his win-loss record. And Glenn Youngkin is someone who is very strong right now in the state of Virginia, polling at like 49%. To Winsome Sears is 37%. Spanberger is also at 49%. And Youngkin is term limited. He can't run again, but he endorsed her just days in 2024 after the presidential primary, where a lot of the media attention wasn't getting sucked up. And many consultants in Virginia are saying that the only hope that Winsome Sears has is if Glenn Youngkin pours all of his support into her race. But I don't know why he would do that, because her poll numbers just are lagging right now.
And especially compared to Spanberger, if she wins, what happens to Virginia in the future?
Well, if she wins in the future, I think that we do see kind of a little bit of a pendulum swing back and forth, especially in this state, one that has its elections in an off year. And a lot of people like to say it's a bellwether for the rest of the midterms in the nation. I would not accept that premise, especially not in this case, when you see somebody who is a wildly popular governor in Glenn Youngkin polling so high right now. If we had another candidate on the top of this ballot, I think we might be able to see different results. But if you watched her CNN interview this past week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, was, and she was having a little sparring match. It was not good. There's some Republicans that play really well with the media and can go back to back and have a head-to-toe conversation and debate. That's not what this was, and she really didn't have a great answer for a lot of the things that she presented or was presented with in ever her defense, and she was trying to explain herself. So, you know, as a Republican, like I said, I want to see folks win who are Republican and conservative, but we are really nervous right now because we don't see that sort of strong support coming out in terms of polling and fundraising and, frankly, candidate performance that we'd like to see in this race.
Does this Trump, pseudo endorsement change the tide moving forward?
It changes the tide if this endorsement pulls out stronger holds of people who are Republicans that might not normally turn out in an election year. But because we are at 37% as opposed to 4 and 5 points, I don't know if it's going to have the strongest amount of support heading into the election year. And again, the president is going to be looking at his win-loss record here. He doesn't want somebody on his tally sheet that drug the party down. So if he's going to lend his endorsement, I think he's looking for something reciprocal. Is she going to be able to help me out while I help her out? So Republicans are kind of sitting around going, we're kind of nervous right now with her switching consultants out back and forth, moving along the race. And so unfortunately, when it gets all to it, I think we're just going to have to, as they say, dance with the folks that you brought to the prom.
Well, and before I let you go, is there anything that Earl Sears can do to push through and get the support of Republicans like yourself?
Focus on the top issues with respect to the economy, with respect to whatever other polling is going on in Virginia right now. I know with Glenn Youngkin, there was the economy and it was high support for parental rights and education. The tide has shifted a little bit. My suggestion to her would be come across as a more likable individual on camera as opposed to somebody who is just being combative and not being very good at it.
Luke Ball, political strategist, always good to see you. Thank you so much.